Hey and welcome, msKIRAspeaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. We're back again for another episode of Bel-Air, Season 1, Episode 7, Payback. The way I just recorded this thing halfway through and it just disappeared. This happened before and it just popped up days later. So we're going to get it started all over again. Maybe second time, third time is the charm. Let's get it. So as the episode opens, Phil wants to have a talk with Will about Lisa. Fred, he's giving Lisa a ride to school so the two of them can talk. He asks her how close she and Will are. She says Will is a good friend. Will tells Uncle Phil they got a little vibe going on. So Uncle Phil says she's a lovely girl and she means a lot to this family. He asks Will if she knows about Philly. Uncle Phil tells him he has a good heart and warns the closer that he gets to Lisa, the more you may feel pressure to open up and be transparent. You don't want to put yourself in a position to lie to someone you care about. It's better you create a little distance sometimes. Fred asks Lisa if she and Will ever talk about why he came here. Lisa says she won't be a spy. He is asking her to take a step back from Will and the Banks family until the election is over. And it's not a bad idea. But you know kids, they don't listen. Will and Lisa, they're no different. They're on their Romeo and Juliet-ish, and these two are sneaking around at school. Lisa says that they have to tell Carlton about them. He deserves better. So Will says he'll tell him. Hillary, she's at the influencer house when Monica comes in and she finds out that Kylo posted that sexy video she made at the end of last episode. Hillary is upset and says he cannot just take her content and re-edit it however he wants. Monica lets her know that Kylo doesn't need her permission. Everything recorded there is in the cloud and fair game. Again, Aunt Viv asked her if there was a catch and told her nothing was free. So Monica says showcasing your sexuality can be liberating, and Hillary explains that Black women are hypersexualized and it's not her brand. Monica doesn't always agree with Kylo's methods, but when Oprah's team called them for a book deal, they learned to keep an open mind. Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, they're meeting with his campaign manager and talking about putting more money into the campaign. The donations have slowed down, so they have to step it up. Stephen says, think of it as an investment. Aunt Viv wants to know exactly how much he plans to invest in this. Crickets. So Phil says, take the long view. But Viv says she needs time. Should I transfer the money back? Stephen says, damn, Stephen, really? Just shaking my head. So Aunt Viv is not happy. Stephen, he excuses himself. Back? So you're not asking me? You're telling me? The money was from my account, Phil starts to say. And I'm like, really, Uncle Phil? That's how you want to play this? He assumed that she'd be fine with it. If I'd have said no, would it even matter? So she walks out and Stephen walks back over. My account? That's what you went with? I mean, I said the same thing, but it's the audacity, Stephen. You should have just kept your mouth closed. So next we see Carlton. He's at lacrosse practice and he's not doing so well. So Connor and the coach, they come for his neck and they come on over and tell him to get it together. So coach wants him to practice with the scrimmage team. Looks like lacrosse is still one sport they can't take away from us, Connor says. Racist much? Oh, and Connor, anything you can do, I can do better. And it seems like before now, Carlton was crushing it. But go off, bruh. So they're practicing and Connor has the ball. Carlton tackles him and we hear a snap. Connor is on the ground and he is moaning and he is groaning. And Carlton, he just walks away and we hear folks saying, what's wrong with him? So Will, he catches Carlton in the hall and asks if he's okay. The team thinks I broke Connor's wrist on purpose. I guess throwing my stuff in the shower is retaliation. He's going to turn the whole school against me. Carlton, I thought you had the juice. So Will tells Carlton he can keep it a stack with him. Carlton says he deserved it. He's tired of his BS, but now everyone hates him. Oh, you mean like when I first got here? Carlton apologizes for what he put him through. Being treated like this sucks, he says. Will says it's okay and he can get past this. He has an idea how they can turn it around. So at home, Will starts to call in folks because they're going to have a party. He's got the basketball team and the cheerleading squad. Carlton, he's got the debate team and the chess club, thanks to Connor. Will says they'll make it work, and Carlton is worried about the number of people attending. He doesn't want to be grounded for 6 months. That was Hillary's punishment when she threw a party the summer before senior year and they almost burned down the guest house. Will tells him no worries, and he calls him Schnookums, very Fresh Prince. So Hillary shows Aunt Viv the thirsty chef post. Aunt Viv, she's holding her head, but she points out, listen, you did film yourself wearing lingerie. So Kyla refuses to take it down, even though you ask. But Hillary's like, no, he's ghosted her. And she wants Uncle Phil to take care of it. And Aunt Viv says, you know, he'll drop everything. He'll put on his armor and he'll go to battle for his baby girl. He'll offer to pay whatever is necessary to get you out of that contract. But is that the best solution? Your father will always go to bat for you, and that's a good feeling. But rescuing yourself, that's priceless. So when Uncle Phil comes in, Hillary tells him she's good now, and she heads out. So he asks Viv, is everything okay with her? And she tells him, look, she's just finding her way. So she's like, by the way, the boys are having some friends over, and I'm heading to the San Diego Art Fair. Last minute decision. You've been so busy, I figured I'd just do it and then get you on board after the fact. That's how we rolling now, right? Aunt Viv is on the Petty Express, y'all. So he apologizes about the campaign money, and Aunt Viv says, listen, this is me doing something for myself and it could get me some exposure. He says he fully supports her. She says she better get on the road. She'll call him when she gets there. So Uncle Phil, he meets with Jeffrey and he's in the study. He's like, listen, I need you to arrange some flowers, a spa day, some dinner at her favorite restaurant. And Jeffrey's like, listen, I got that recon that you asked for on Reed Broderick. On his itinerary for the weekend, he is also attending the San Diego Art Fair. Jeffrey's like, I know you have full trust in her, but Reed, he has quite the reputation. So he hands Uncle Phil a folder before he leaves. Aunt Viv, she arrives in San Diego, and Reed spots her headed his way, and he jumps up and he asks her, is your sweet okay? And they have some quick small talk, and she's nervous. And he's like, listen, if you're nervous, go ahead and grab a drink first. So the boys' party is underway, and Will is optimistic. But Carlton says there's barely anyone here. Will says the night is young. He got him. After the party of the year, you'll show people that you don't need Connor to be the man. Carlton says he's game, but his face, not so much. So Will gets on the mic and introduces or reintroduces Carlton. Aunt Viv, she's sitting there with creepy ass Reed and they're chopping it up. And Aunt Viv is like, I miss the energy and the vibe. And he tells her, people say she's an ideal candidate for the Neiman Artistic Fellowship. Viv says, it's quite the honor, but it's a huge commitment. She'd have to go on a lecture tour, curate a traveling exhibit. He says audiences will be throwing roses at her feet. And her roses are long overdue, we hear Uncle Phil say. I know that's right. Viv looks surprised to see him, but not in a good way. And I was disappointed by that. Hillary, she's checking children about being on the furniture and upstairs is up limits. Y'all want to have sex? Go do it in the back of your car. And I chuckle. So Jazz walks in and Hillary and him, they have some witty banter. Will wanted him to hop on the aux for the party. He says he could stick around to keep her company. She says she liked that. Thirsty chef, huh? Don't get me started. He says, you look fine as hell, but it doesn't seem like her. She says, and it's not. So back in San Diego, Uncle Phil tells Aunt Viv that he knows this weekend is important to her and he's not going to get in the way of that. He didn't like the way they left things and he thought this might be a chance to squeeze in some time away. He canceled his campaign meetings. Hillary is in charge of the boys' get-together and Jeffrey is chaperoning Ashley and her friends on a class trip. I mean, things was going quite well. He's asking her for some quality time, and then here comes Reed's punk ass to bust up the mood, talking about black love is a beautiful thing. It is, Phil says. And then he proceeds to say he heard he has quite the track record. Oh, Phil. Reed says he is a single man who enjoys the company of a beautiful woman when he finds the time. We can't believe everything we see on Google, exactly what we tell our kids. Viv says, but Phil, he keeps going, how most of these women are up-and-coming artists. He starts to run down their names and ask how their careers are doing these days. Viv looks disgusted. Reed says his interest in Vivian is strictly professional. Her art moves me. End of story. Let me know when you're ready. The reporter from Art News is here. He walks away and Viv says she is definitely ready and leaves Phil standing there. Now, why did he do all that in front of her? And he probably shouldn't have put homeboy up on all the game that he knew about him. But if you're going to have a deep measuring contest, why not just catch him off to the side? And is that all that was in Jeffrey's folder? Because if it is, I'm a little disappointed. So Lisa arrives at the party and she tells Will she told her dad she was hanging out with Rachel, which isn't a total lie. He's glad that she made it, and she hopes that her being there doesn't cause trouble between him and his uncle. Well, why are you there then, dear? So he tells her they're not even here. They're gone for the weekend. My uncle and your dad don't have to know we're together. I mean, not that there aren't a bunch of people to say otherwise. So Will still has to tell Carlton. He says he's been having a day and the timing is off. So she asks, where is Carlton? Somewhere sober, on the struggle bus. He's trying to get him to have fun, but every time he sees him, he's alone. Lisa says this isn't really his crowd. Will says he got a little matchmaker situation going on. And then we see Carlton, and he's with Aisha. And they're watching someone do a TikTok spin on the Carlton dance. Did y'all OG Fresh Prince fans catch it? So she says, he's much cooler than his rep. What's my rep? She says, forget I said anything. But he says he can take it. They say you're kind of a sellout. The friends you hang with, the drugs you're into. I mean, you like lacrosse and yachting and race cars. Now she lost me there because I'm one of those different quirky kind of black people, and I can't stand when people want to label things that way. My father has been into NASCAR for as long as I can remember. Black folks can like lacrosse and play it too, but I digress. Carlton says, so because of what I like, I'm disqualified from being black? Thank you, Carlton. But she continues, it doesn't help that he doesn't make an effort to get down with them. You've never even been to a BSU meeting. That's not cool, she says. But Carlton, he's had enough, so he tells her to enjoy the party and he walks away. Guess he couldn't handle it. So Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil are back in the hotel room, and it is awkward. He pays her a compliment and she says, if you were curious about Reed, all you had to do is ask. I don't have anything to hide. He tells her he trusts her completely. My instinct is to protect you. She hits him with some sarcasm. Oh, from the big bad art gallery owner? So Aunt Viv says, let's talk, radical honesty. She says she does enjoy spending time with Reed because he makes her feel alive, the way he looks at her art. Like it's a rare gift and she's depriving the world of it if she doesn't share it. Lots of people have been asking over the years if she's going to get back to her art, but not her husband. He never asked. So back at the Banks estate, Hillary and Jazz, they're trying to get some quiet time and they stumble on some kids making out. So Hillary tells them they need to go and they clear on out. And these two, they get to talking and they get to kissing. But then Hillary's phone goes off. She thought it might be her parents, but no. She's got a location on Kylo. He's at an influencer event in Hollywood. She plans to go there and tell him to take that thirsty chef stuff down. Jazz says he stays ready. And all I can think of is, so both of y'all gonna leave this party and that means there will be no adults? This not gonna go well. Back in the room with Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, he says she made the choice to set her art aside, not him. She says she was trying to be the best mother and wife while meeting her deadlines, and it was a lot. He says he just tried to help her out by letting her know that if she didn't want to have to work another day, that he had her. She says she appreciated it at the time, but now part of her resents him for it. He thought he was making life easier. He asked what he could have done differently. Told me to hold on. I know how hard you work and how much your art means to you. I won't let you quit. Just hold on. I got your back. You felt the need to rush down here and save me, but the real rescue I needed was 15 years ago. So I'm going to wrap these two up so we really don't have to come back to them. Uncle Phil says, when it came to her art, no one was a bigger fan. He was by her side at every show, proud. He loved watching her in her element, but she was struggling and complaining about having to prove herself in a system that wasn't designed to accommodate her or her art. You woke up tired before you even started. She says she was getting burned out. He says that she was constantly comparing herself, and Phil says you let your own insecurities cripple you. He may have opened the escape hatch, but she jumped right through. So Uncle Phil, he wants to take a drive to clear their minds, but she says she wants him to go home. This time she's going to rescue herself. And they had a great conversation, but you could see there was obviously a breakdown in communication somewhere along the line over the last 15 years. So I'm guessing Uncle Phil is gone. Aunt Viv, she makes her way downstairs to the bar to meet with Reed. He starts to talk and he says he doesn't want to be a problem. But Viv, she wants to talk about the Neiman Artistic Fellowship. Now, this isn't where I thought this was going, and I support Viv's artistic dreams. I do. And I will say this, and this also applies to Hillary later. They have money. Why is Reed the answer? Is there no other way for her to get her art out there? I mean, this is just my thought. So Will asks Carlton, where's Aisha? He says he don't know and he don't care. He's not new in school. He can't just be a new person. He says he appreciates him, but he just needs to be alone. So Hillary and Jazz, they roll up to this party and she tells him to let her do all the talking. He says, all right, if things go left, I got your back. So she says she's been blowing up his phone all day and she wants him to take the post down now. He says he never intended to be disrespectful. He was juicing the algorithm and people are loving the thirsty chef. This isn't the way she wants to build her audience. He says he's a disruptor and that's how he thinks. But if that's not what she wants, he's sorry. So a black lady walks up and she's like, hey, thirsty chef, love to see a black woman unapologetic about her sexuality. And the guy with her is like, we need more of that. And then they walk off and Kylo swears he had nothing to do with it. So he tells her, listen, I was talking to some of the big wigs at Victoria's Secret and they wanted me to make an introduction. Jazz asked, can you just take the video down? But then Hillary's like, oh, wait, it couldn't hurt to hear what they have to say. And she tells Jazz to get them drinks and she'll be back. Again, let's try to wrap them up so we don't have to go back to them. So when she finally comes back and apologizes, she's been gone so long that the ice in her drink that Jazz got her has melted. She tells him that they offered her $15K a post. Can't put a price on dignity, he says. It's just business and she can't pass up this opportunity. Once she banks all her followers, she can reach out to them with her content the way she wants to. Now that sounds good in theory, but I don't know if that's going to work. He says he gets it. He just didn't think she'd sell her soul. I mean, that's taking it a little far, but I got where he was coming from. So she tells him she wouldn't expect him to get it. You've only had Instagram for 2 minutes. He says he understood it enough to drag his ass down there to have her back. I'm sorry, I can give you gas money. Jazz's face, that shit went right over her head. He laughs and he says, okay. He asks for the check. So that wraps up Jazz and Hillary. And my question is the same as Aunt Viv. Now, I know she wants to make her own way, but if she just goes to her parents with a plan, I'm sure they'll support her. I'm not too sure that this is the way to do things. What happened to black women being hypersexualized? Anywho, so moving along. Lisa tells Will it was sweet of him to throw the party to build Carlton up, except now he feels more helpless than he did before. Lisa says he's had a hard time finding his people, especially not having a black friend group to escape to. Will says that wasn't his experience in Philly. Black school, black neighborhood, black church, black everything. Lisa says not Bel-Air, and they have to battle every racist comment and microaggression. It gets exhausted, and Will's like, oh, and then taking anxiety pills and snorting Xanax. Lisa's like, we all deal with it different. Carlton isn't going to change overnight. Be patient with him. So the next thing you know, we see Lisa in Will's room to charge her phone. She says she's never been up there and it's nice seeing this side of him. And she's just nosing around, looking at his awards, looking at his books, looking at a photo of his mom. And they make some small talk and Lisa's like, she wants to know his secrets. And I said, oh no, this is about to go left. So they're sharing secrets and Lisa reveals her middle name is Lisa. Her first name is actually Beulah, after her grandmother. And all you OG Fresh Prince fans know this was taken from the original show. Only Lisa didn't date Carlton. Her and Will met in college, and she was played by the Nia Long. Now, I don't know why they didn't make Beulah the middle name and Lisa the first name, but nobody asked me. So Lisa asked Will why he really came to Philly, and he decides to take Uncle Phil's advice and give her the rehearsed answer. I came to Philly for a better education. She says that takes a lot of courage, starting over like that. She says she's glad that he took a chance, and the two of them, they start kissing. A phone buzzes and the phones are charged. He says, you want to go back downstairs to the party. But nope, Miss Lisa has other plans, and she heads on over to the bed and she sits down. So he goes on over and they kiss. He asks her if she's okay with it, and Lisa says she's good. She trusts him, and yay for consent. And we know these two, they got it popping. And I was also glad that they did not show us that. So Carlton's friend John texts him. He's in the game room. And I was like, is this a setup? But no, John and the lacrosse team are actually in the game room. Connor pops up and Carlton asks him what he's doing there. Shouldn't you be home getting high on Vicodin? Oh, really, Carlton? Pot! Meet kettle. So John says he invited him. He wanted them to squash the shit. Carlton says, cool, after you apologize for all the racist and offensive shit you've been saying. He says he doesn't mean just him. Asian jokes, the Mexican jokes, the homophobic shit. Connor calls him sensitive. Everyone is looking at him and Connor calls him whack. And this is a weak ass party. Let's take it back to my crib. John says, no, we're good. Connor gives him a F you too and he leaves. And I knew it was going to be a problem because Mr. Connor does not do rejection. Aisha was watching it go down. She kind of raises her glass like a little black fist because up until this point, Carlton has been complicit. We saw that at the beginning with the Bobby Shmurda song. So now I guess I'll put this scene right where it belongs because the episode is wrapping up. Lisa and Will are in his bed in their afterglow and I just swore Carlton was going to walk in on the two of them, but no. Will says he doesn't care about anybody. She is his girl and that is the way it is. So Carlton, he's looking for Will and he's feeling good and he's asking around for Will. He gets a text from Connor. Some new guests are about to arrive. Enjoy, a-hole. So Carlton, he looks upstairs and reluctantly he starts to walk up when the LAPD comes in and wants to speak to the owner. See, I knew not having one adult there was going to be a problem. So Carlton's like, everybody calm down. He says he lives there. And as he's trying to explain, the officer tells him, don't take another step. So Will, he notices the police lights and says he needs to get down there. And Lisa says she's coming. Will tells her, no, don't go down there. Then your dad will definitely know that you lied. But she says she can help. So Carlton, he's downstairs with his hands behind his head. And the police are asking, whose residence is it? I told you it's mine, Carlton says. So Will and Lisa come down and she's like, he's telling the truth. Who are you? The officer asks. Lisa Wilkes. Fred Wilkes is my father. You're Chief Wilkes' daughter? She is. And he wants to speak with you. So he gets off the phone and he tells them the party is over and to go on home. So Carlton, he just stands there and he looks at them and Will is looking hella guilty. He only got a t-shirt on. Lisa's doggone sweater is open and he looks so disappointed, and that is where we end. Damn, another good episode. What did you guys think? Please put your thoughts down in the comment. Lisa lied to her father, but I don't know if he can use the party against Phil because she was there. Hillary's in trouble because she just disappeared. And Carlton and Will, they're back to square one. They should have just told him, and I told you, I hate this storyline. But there's so much more to cover. If you have made it this far, put a swimsuit emoji down in the comments for Hillary's deal with Vicky's secret. I hope you'll come back and join me for my review of episode 8. Aunt Vi is coming, y'all. And there are only 3 more episodes left before the season is over, y'all. Oh, while you're here, please check out some of my other content. Thank you. And before you go, please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate y'all. Peace.